After the 2020 pandemic, well, we are now facing a burnout epidemic. If we look at the numbers, they are quite scary. Like, based on an article that I read on Fortune, they are estimating that 82% of employees are at risk of burnout this year. Just this year, in 2024. According to the 2024 Global Talent Trend report by Mercer, an HR company, they are saying that more than 8 out of 10 employees are at risk of burnout this year. In the UK, Mental Health UK stated that it was 1 out of 4 employees. It's a lot. And that's sort of a reason why I wanted to talk about this topic. I wanted to talk about the big B, so the big burnout. But before that, I just wanted to mention that I'm not a professional therapist. Okay, I'm not a licensed therapist. Everything that I'm stating in the video is based on my own experience. And if you need help, please go and seek help with a licensed therapist, a licensed coach, a GP, anyone who can help you and provide you advice. So last year I had a burnout. I actually had 2. So one which was quite mild, where I took some time off thinking that the situation would change. And one at the end of the year, around October, where it was a little bit worse. Because actually one of the biggest scare that I had was when I started realizing that I didn't remember how I got from a point A to a point B. And that's scary, mostly when you're driving. So don't do that. And based on that last episode, I was out from work for a month. And for me, it was very difficult because I've been so passionate about my job. I've been such a perfectionist in what I was doing that it was very difficult at the beginning to accept that I was going through a burnout. But I had to take care of myself. And in this video, I'm going to talk about what are the things that I did to recover from that burnout. So number 1 is that I disconnected myself from the digital world. I removed all my socials. I just wanted to make sure that there was nothing that was going to affect that healing process. Because going on social media, seeing the news, seeing as well the negativity that sometimes you can find on social media, I knew it was not going to be good for me. So I deliberately cut myself off every other social media that I had. And even today, I'm not going a lot on the social, and to be honest, it quite helped. Yeah, it helped because I don't know, it just feels that you have much more control on your life. But that was the first thing I did. The second thing I did was actually to take some time to rest and to process what was happening. I just allowed myself to process that yes, I was out of work for some time. At the beginning 2 weeks, and then it was extended for 2 more weeks. I took time to process what was happening and I rested. At the beginning I was feeling very guilty of sleeping, of taking naps while my partner was working, but it actually helped. And it took me some time to actually being able to go towards to go back to a normal sleep pattern, because I have been suffering from insomnia for a while before burning out. It was the consequences of burnout. But it took me time. I would say it took me a good week to be able to go back into a sleep routine, let's say. But once I started sleeping and going back to a normal routine, I felt so much better. Seriously, I started being myself again. Sleep is so important. It's really, really important. I think we don't say it enough, but if you don't sleep, how do you want your brain cells to regenerate? How do you want to recover? It's impossible. So sleep, it was a really big part of that process. It was a really big part of that healing process. So if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling desperate, if you're feeling aggressive, because I was feeling very aggressive as well. I was quite angry. I was angry with the world. Sometimes without any reason, but I was just angry. I was feeling myself boiling. I was always tense all the time. And that was also a consequence of the lack of sleep that I was experiencing at the time. So number 2, don't forget, try to sleep and rest. And even if you feel oh my God, my day is just flying and I've been only sleeping, it's okay. It's okay. For the first few days, you will feel so tired because all the pressure is just coming off your shoulders that you will need to recover, and this recovery will only happen through sleep. Number three is actually that I went out much more and do things that I enjoy. So I went out for walks, I went out for movies, I went out to meet some family members, to have lunch with them. So yes, I started going out much more, because the reality is that when I was going towards that burnout phase, I didn't want to go out. I refused to go out. I didn't like going to the office. If I could push myself not to go to the office, like if I could just ignore the fact that I had to go to the office, I would do it. I wouldn't go to the office. I wouldn't sometimes leave the house for, I want to say days, but might have even been weeks. And this really affected me. But during that healing process, just going out, taking like some fresh air, even if the weather, well, in the UK was not that great, it was still very good to be out, to have like some natural light, to be able like to go for a movie and just enjoy. And yes, slowly I was regaining like the happiness of doing like some small things, and it was amazing. And in number 4, I started going more to the gym. So that was really good for me, because I always like to work out, but to be honest, when I was working, it was very difficult, because my days were starting quite early and they were finishing very late. So after that I just didn't want to do anything, to be honest. Like after a work day with such long hours, the only thing I was doing was like I was going in front of Netflix, sitting and rewatching one of my favorite shows, and I was watching like the same episodes of The Big Bang Theory, because it was very comforting for me. I didn't have to think about it. I knew exactly what was going to happen. So I was on autopilot. It was kind of a loop, and every single day, like during my lunch break, afterward, I was rewatching exactly the same things over and over again. I think I know that series by heart, that show by heart now. But again, it's my favorite show, so maybe that's why I was rewatching it. But being able, like during that healing process, to go out, to go and work out, to meet other people, and just do something else was amazing. And I felt amazing. I started feeling better just the moment on the first day that I went to work out. So when they tell you like the benefits, there are some great benefits of going out, of going and work out, of going to the gym, of going to attend a class and everything. It's true. Like there are so many benefits of working out. That's amazing. And you feel it from the moment you start doing it. It's true, it's very difficult for me to actually go to the gym, but the moment that I'm there, I'm so happy. Like I love it. It's very difficult for me to leave afterwards. So I'm always like in excess, as you can see, but yeah, no, it was really amazing. Number 5 was actually doing like the talking therapies. So if you've watched the previous video, what I've mentioned before is that my GP referred me to talking therapies. So I had group sessions with, I think we were like a group of 8 to 10 people. It was online, it was like a virtual call. And most people had like the camera off. You could decide to have your camera on, but most of us had our camera off, and it was great because we were all having like similar issues. They put us in groups of people going through burnout with similar issues and everything, and it was amazing just to be able like to have like these talking therapies, to be able like to be yourself, not to be ashamed of what you were going through, and be able like to share with people who were understanding like exactly what you were going through. It was really good. So I had like these group sessions going on, but I also had like one-to-one session with an employment therapist. Was it an employment therapist? I think it was like they call themselves employment specialist. And this was very interesting because we were really talking about issues related to the workplace, and that specialist was amazing because they gave me like the tips to relax. They gave me like some examples of what was going on. They gave me like great advice as well on the different resources that were available as an employee to me. So for example, they are the ones who talked about like occupational therapists, even though I knew about it because someone else told me about it. But They told me that by law I could request an occupational therapist. They are the one who told me about the phase return, for example. They gave me advice about like how I could go back to work without feeling overwhelmed. So it was amazing to have like these two therapies. And then when I went back to work, I had access to an occupational therapist that I've been requesting for. And going through that as well, that occupational therapist, I think I had like 3 sessions with that therapist, and it was amazing as well because again, we worked around like phase return. They had to write a report, which was then shared with my line manager and the HR. So I had help. And I think that's very important for people to understand like what are the resources available to them. And trying to seek support, you shouldn't feel ashamed of going and seeking support, because this will only help you, and this will only help your recovery as well. And in addition to the talking therapies, to the employment specialist, to the occupational therapist, I decided from the moment that I was signed off work to hire a life coach, because I wanted to gain back my confidence. I felt that I was losing myself, but I was not prioritizing myself for a long time. So I needed support to start trying to understand how I could talk about my projects. What were my projects? Identify the projects that I've been having like so many dreams for so long, and I didn't do anything about it. So I wanted someone to help me and keep me accountable about like how I could move forward and start working on my goals and start working on my dream life, on what my dream life looks like. And I hired a life coach, and it was amazing. Like, I'm so happy. It was like a match made in heaven. Like, that person suited my personality very well. And yeah, I'm still going through it. And it's been 8 months since I'm doing it, since I'm having like a life coach, and I'm loving it. So the session started like every single week, but now it's spaced. It might happen like once a month or once every 2 months, but it's just amazing to have that person that I can rely on if I need to refocus, like there, to recenter myself, and to be able like to realize that, hey, I'm going off the wagon. So go back, book an appointment, and then we chat, we try to identify the things that I can work on. So going for a life coach, if you can, is an amazing way as well. But you need to find the right coach for you and for your personality. I think it's very important. Like, you need to be able to bond with that person. And that's what I have with my coach. Yeah, I was really lucky to find that coach. So I'm very grateful about that. And one of the other things that I did on my journey to recovery was actually starting to think about what I wanted my life to be when it comes to work. And I've realized that, well, the workplace that I was not fitted for me. We didn't share the same values. They didn't provide me with the support that I needed. So yeah, even though I loved some of the people there, even though I loved my clients, even though I love the field I'm in, and I love the work that I've been doing, well, I just wanted to find that place where I was going to feel good. And that's why, like, during that time, I realized that, well, instead of doing everything that I was doing, well, I wanted to really focus on one specific part of the work, and that's why I decided to change job. But more than that, I realized that, well, I really wanted to focus on my projects, on my personal projects, because as I said, I have dreams, right? And I have ambition, and I really want to achieve the different projects that I've been thinking about. So this allowed me to focus on what was important for me and what wasn't important for me. And I think that's a great thing that I've realized during that healing process, because I've always had a lot of ideas, but I never really started working on them. And during that time, I started not only thinking about it, but I started slowly working towards that goal, towards that project or projects that I always wanted to do. And one of which is recording these YouTube videos, because that's always something that I wanted to do, but I always pushed this project back because I never had time, or I always felt I was going to be judged. I always had an excuse overall, but I'm very happy because like during that recovery journey, I started thinking about doing videos, and I started recording videos that were more towards like fitness. But then I realized that, well, fitness is something that I like, but I might not want to do videos around fitness. And I really wanted to focus towards like personal and professional growth instead. So that's how the True Transform channel was created. So this was during that healing journey, and I'm very, very happy about it. And finally, what I've realized during that healing journey is that, well, I listen again to my body much more. So, for instance, I was signed up for 2 weeks, but after these first 2 weeks, I started realizing that I was not ready to go back to work. So, I wasn't ashamed to talk about it to my GP, who extended like my break for another 2 weeks. And after these 2 weeks, I started feeling better. So I think that what it taught me is that, you know what, you need to listen to your body. And that's one of the things that helped me during that journey, and that helped me to heal, is to actually listen to me much more, to trust my gut feeling as well. So yeah, these are like the different things that I've been doing, and I've been doing well. And I think like one of the last thing I would say is, don't push yourself too hard. Even when you go back to work, like just take things easily. That's why a phase return is very important, because you still need time to adapt. Like you're not just going to go back to work and hey, here I am, I can do things like I used to do. No, you really need to go back. You really need to put like your boundaries. You really need to not forget all the things that you've worked so hard on, and also not forget about like your recovery, that the fact that you started prioritizing yourself. So when you go back to work, you should always remember that, well, yes, I'm back to work, but my priority is me. And I think that's very important. And that's one of the things that we can easily forget as well. So just be mindful of that. And it's okay, from time to time, yes, you're going to fall off the wagon, but it's okay as long as you realize that, oh, I'm starting not to prioritize myself again. Let me go back on track. As long as you realize that, that's great. And always don't be ashamed of looking for support. Like, have a buddy. If you feel that, you know what, when I'm going back to work, I'm going to fall off the wagon because, well, life happens, right? Work happens. There's workload, that you have responsibilities. But at least by having a buddy, you're feeling accountable. And that's why I love having like a life coach, because she keeps me accountable for for things that I've promised myself to do and not to do as well. So that's very important. But to finish, I would just say, like, just take your time. Like, it's not a race. It's not a race. Like, healing will take time. And even when I went back to work, it took me some time to actually start feeling myself again and start finding my habit, my routine. But it taught me a lot. And I didn't go back to the bad habits that I had before. So it really changed me. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say, and I hope this video helps you as always, because I'm really enjoying making these videos for you, and my aim is always like to try to help as many people as possible. Even if I only help one person, I'm very happy about it, as long as the content that I'm doing for you is relevant. And I'm trying to be myself at the end of the day. So I might have like, my hair is not that great, but it's okay. That's who I am. That's who, if you meet me in the street, that's exactly how you're going to see me. And I just want to keep it very real. So if you're enjoying this video, if you want to talk about like a specific topic, basically just feel free to drop in a comment, like the video if it helped you, and I'll see you in the next one. So take care, and I care about you. I believe in you. And now go and prioritize yourself.